Good afternoon again. I have a pleasure to welcome all of you on our Arqus workshop about AI in teaching and learning. This workshop was prepared by the work group 5 of our Arqus Alliance, and it's right now hosting by the University of Padua. So we are all very pleased to welcome all of you on that event. The program is very simple. We will start with 4 presentations from 4 different universities, and all those related to use of AI. And after those short 10 minutes presentations, we will be having 2 question and answer sessions, each of 20 minutes long, and you will be free to join at each of that session to one group and then discuss details of topics presented by the presenters during the presentation freely and ask questions at that time. So this workshop will conclude with some remarks after breakup sessions, and we will be having our speakers giving very short 1-minute presentation at that time. So this series was designed to gain some insight into diverse teaching practices with artificial intelligence, and we try to give all the participants a chance to get inspired by the use of AI in our presenters' teaching practices, and we also try to give a chance to exchange ideas with colleagues from different universities around Europe in the topic of AI in teaching. So my name is Tomasz Greczyła, and I will try to lead this webinar, and I also have some colleagues who will assist me with this work. So I also would like to introduce Paulo, Andrea, Andrea and Beatrice, and myself. We will be also assisting you during the questions and answer sessions. So please note that the presentation will be recorded and made available on the Arqus website with slides and the references. During the teacher presentation, the microphones will be turned off, so the participants are not allowed to stop or ask questions related to the contents being presented, also in a chat, but this will be possible afterwards. For content-related questions to the speakers, please use the respective breakout rooms and question and answer sessions. For any operational technical questions, please use the Zoom chat. Marco is with us as a hosting university representative, and he will assist all of you with any possible problems that might appear. So during the break room sessions, which will take place after the presentation, you will have a choice to join one of four breakout rooms. In each of that room, there will be a presenting person. You could distinguish those rooms by its name. So please choose the room, looking at the name of the room if you wish to talk with a certain presenter. Please voluntarily join a room of your choice, trying to not change that room during the time of the breakout sessions. So you have to choose one, and then in the second session, you will choose another one. There's no possibility to change the room within those 20 minutes of the question and answer time. Due to the high number of participants, there will be the assisting person. So those whom I introduced at the beginning will be managing questions. Please keep your microphones muted and raise your hands to speak. The representative will call on you in order to ask question. And then after 20 minutes, you will be automatically moved into general session to choose a new breakout room for the second discussion round. You cannot switch, as I told you, rooms during the ongoing session. So it's a moment to introduce the most important people, our speakers. We will be having 4 speakers. Actually, one of those will be done in a pair. So I should say that we have 4 groups of speakers. So I would like to give the floor to the first speaker. So let me give you a brief overview of the agenda. I was already speaking about this, hoping that this is going in the chat, but right now I'm presenting you this information I already told you. So our first speaker is Adrian Kirwan. So please join and remember that you have 10 minutes for your presentation. I would also like to give you a few information about the speaker. So Adrian works as a university tutor, is an expert in critical skills at the Office of Students VP for Students and Learning at Maynooth University. Adrian teaches academic writing with the Critical Skills program. His research and teaching focuses on the use of generative AI in writing and the development of critical AI literacies. An historian of science and technology by training. He has a strong interest in the interaction between society, science, and technology. So Adrian, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Excellent. I'm just going to start the PowerPoint. If someone just gives me a nod that we can see that and hear me speaking, that would be great. Excellent, excellent. Thank you everyone for coming. I don't know about everyone else, but it's our last day of term here, so I'm sure there's a lot of people under a lot of pressure. So I'm here today to talk about the work we've kind of been doing within the Critical Skills program at Maynooth University on a kind of exploring the role that generative AI can play in the writing process. So no matter where one stands on the potential benefits and pitfalls of generative AI, students' awareness and access to these technologies means that it's a topic that cannot be ignored. Indeed, Chris Anslow's recent article in the Journal of Academic Writing argues that generative AI is, quote, fundamentally altering what we mean by composing, end quote. As such, we would argue that the acquisition of generative AI literacies and dispositions are essential if students are to be equipped with realistic understanding of the affordances and limitations of these technologies. I suppose the alternative is to surrender this space to the boosterism of various companies and commentators that seek to hype these technologies for a variety of purposes. Thus, I think for all educators, particularly those engaged in writing instruction, who seek to produce critically aware students with the ability to produce and critique generative AI output, formulating theoretical and practical methods to broach this topic is a pressing concern, and as such, I welcome kind of efforts such as this to kind of share knowledge. So what I will be talking about today is basically the aims of the class we are dealing with. I'll be talking a bit about the teaching and learning approaches we took, and then some of the kind of outcomes of this teaching experience. So what were we trying to do? I suppose the main things we're trying to understand is teach students AI literacies in terms of ways and knowing. So understanding the affordances, limitations of large language models, but also kind of exploring how to prompt them successfully, etc. But past that, kind of trying to equip them with critical dispositions towards these technologies to kind of create and shape, thinking about how they're created and shaping, and thinking about them in kind of a very critical prism, understanding that they also come with lots of ethical and legal dimensions that we need to think about in reference to their use. And basically equip students with not only the ability to use these technologies, but also to think about them in that critical manner, and also to think about when it's perhaps appropriate to use or not use these. And this can center on concerns such as plagiarism, inaccuracies, but also environmental concerns, etc. So drawing on Southwell et al.'s 2023 article, we identified some key literacies that we would like, our key learning outcomes. So firstly, we would, at the end of this course, we'd like students to be able to discuss generative AI technologies, operate and prompt them effectively, analyze the affordances and limitations of these technologies, with particular reference to large language models, integrate them into the writing process, and also to be able to pass that to the debate the broader societal and ethical considerations of their use. So the activities I'm going to discuss in this presentation took place throughout the 2023 to 2024 academic semester, and then also in an extended fashion over the 2024 to 2025 academic year. In a second year module called Intersections of Science, Writing and Media. And the purpose of this module is to kind of develop transferable writing skills for undergraduate science students, and numbering in the mid-60s over both years. The final 6 weeks of the module really are built around the kind of role of generative AI within the composition process, and while also kind of thinking about writing in general terms. I should also mention my colleague, Dr. Brett Zielinski, who's not with us today, who also co-teaches on this module. So thinking about the implementation of this, I think the module, as I said, is focused on writing as a rhetorical practice, and students are well positioned to engage with the potential of Gen AI, focusing on large language models as a writing technology. The class was built around the scaffolded completion of a group podcast with a number of assignments that utilizes an integrated generative AI. For the purposes of this particular session, we used MS Copilot predominantly because that's what we have in terms of GDPR compliance. In particular, we picked, as you see here, a group podcast project for a couple of reasons. So firstly, approaching it from a group perspective allowed us to kind of apply a socialist constructivist approach to the teaching of this, and also allowed us to kind of negate a lot of concerns around the isolation that students might face by the use of chatbots and generative AI in a general sense. We're going to counteract that kind of isolation. You'll see from the slide, podcasts in particular are really useful for teaching students academic writing in a general sense, by kind of moving them away from genres they're traditionally used to, like lab reports, etc., and by operating in a different modality. They really have to kind of focus on the stylistic features of this genre. And for us, in terms of teaching academic writing, it also moves the discussion away from just dealing with hallucinations, etc., with generative AI output, but actually thinking about how successful these are as tools for rhetorical writing. I'm sorry, I'm conscious of the time. So I think in line with this, what we also built into this was a kind of statement of goals and choices, which allowed students to kind of plan and reflect upon the success of the podcast under 3 key headings. The first of these was exigence, so establishing and satisfying the pressing need for the information being portrayed. Audience, so thinking about how this was a targeted, appropriate language, etc., and also thinking about the affordances and limitations of the genre. So looking at the teaching and learning of this course, this took place, as I said, over 6 weeks, and we really had 2 key kind of focuses. First was AI fluency, so thinking about how students can use Gen AI as a writing technology, discussing and describing the affordances and limitations of these, utilizing them in terms of effective prompting, etc. And then secondly, much more kind of critical literacies, which I would argue in the literature is kind of separated out from fluency. So these included concerns around ecology, privacy, copyright concerns, bias, and also kind of a critique of the general frameworks that have been put in place in academia. So to teach these sort of core competencies and skills, what we attempted to do was scaffold in-class activities. So we engaged in several kind of lecture-based kind of classes where we kind of instilled knowledge and had discussions about ethical concerns and also critiqued generative AI output with students. But then within the kind of tutorial sessions, what we attempted to do was scaffold actual practical use of this. So we began with firstly with kind of prompting and introducing some kind of key prompting strategies, but also kind of analyzing these prompting strategies and designing and testing these. So really kind of critiquing what we were getting in terms of outputs from generative AI. We also kind of talked about different strategies for employing generative AI. So basic stuff like brainstorming, producing text, but also kind of thinking about how we can actually isolate sections of text and break the writing process down into multiple stages. And then what we also seen was kind of a lot of focus actually on critiquing what was being produced. So real big focus in the tutorial sessions on actually analyzing the output in terms of the rhetorical situation that the students had described in advance of teaching this, in advance of teaching the course. So really thinking about, okay, rather than just checking for errors, etc., was this technology actually producing rhetorical savvy text that was satisfying the exigence in terms of audience, in terms of their rhetorical needs, while also making use of the affordances and limitations of podcasting as a genre and as a medium of communication. So that was a basic overview of what we did. And I apologize, it's a lot to get 6 weeks into 10 minutes. I think of a couple of minutes left, so we might just think about some kind of future perspectives or the impact of this. And I think what we did was we surveyed, this is from the students not from last year before, we surveyed them before and afterwards, and we did see some significant changes in terms of their ability to use generative AI over this. So if we see I know enough about generative AI to utilize it properly, and my university studies have prepared, we've seen a significant enhancement in terms of their ability to actually critically engage with these technologies, prompt them, etc. Also, there's definitely some movement in terms of what students are thinking about these technologies in terms of the importance of them going forward. But we were quite satisfied by taking this kind of group approach was that even though initially students were worried about its impact, as we see here, on their ability to interact with others, including instructors, and their ability to impede generic skill development, by actually incorporating it into a group assignment and incorporating it into much more kind of hands-on practical experience, we're able, I think, to alleviate a lot of them fears. And you see that kind of coming through later on in the second survey. Before I finish, I think I have 2 minutes. I think one thing I was really interested in is the ethical use of generative AI. So we spent a week exploring the kind of big ethical questions about the use of this, and critiquing frameworks. But if you actually look at that bottom bar, you'll see it. We didn't have much impact, or at least appears. So I felt like a week of my life I was never going to get back, But actually, when we delved into this, what we actually saw was that before the class, the module, students predominantly saw ethical concerns as plagiarism. And I think, it's obviously how we're framing this conversation in higher education was a big concern around plagiarism, and some other milder concerns after that. After the class, what happens is plagiarism actually becomes the fourth most significant concern. So there's lots of more concerns about disinformation, copyright concerns, bias, environmental concerns, generative AI. So I think, for me, I think it's important to teach students to use these technologies. They're going to be an integral part of the future, but also we need to allow them to think critically about that use and what that use means. I think I'm under 10 minutes. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a perfect on time. So for those who would like to explore this topic more, I invite you to the room when Adrian will be waiting for you during the both question and answer sessions. And then we can move to another presentation. The second presentation will be given by two speakers, Virginia and Diana, and will be related to creativity meets technology. Let me introduce our speakers a bit. So when they are trying to connect and put the presentation on, I will say you that Virginia is an associated professor at the Department of German Philology at the University, Vilnius University. She teaches the German language and linguistic for more than 20 years, has experience in German studies and teaches courses, German grammar, introduction to semantics, German language, and other topics. Her research interest is in humor research, semantics, phraseology, legal German, and translation and use of AI and IT tools in language teaching and learning. And there will be also Diana speaking. She is associated professor at the Department of German Philology, also at Vilnius University. She's a German language and linguistic teacher with more than 25 years of experience. The courses he taught is a German phonetics, German didactics, and German language and mediation, creative writing, and others. Her research interest is devoted to teaching and learning German, curriculum development, assessment, use of AI and IT, and academic writing. So I give the floor to both of you.
Thank you, Tomasz. And I will start right away with why we're doing this, why we're focusing on creativity, because in the modern education, the so-called 4Cs are very important, and these 4Cs are creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. And very briefly, what we understand, and that this quite creativity, mostly it is a combination of ideas that have some novel value or use or meaning for different
Did you
stakeholders.
share the screen? Did you share your presentation? Because we
yes,
okay, perfect.
I'm sharing it. It's not visible.
Yeah, I see it properly. I don't know you.
Yes.
Good.
Perfect.
Okay. So creativity is mostly associated with originality and effectiveness and problem solving, and also the ability to adjust its own perspective and to change it when something new comes up. And of course, in the AI era, it is what everybody's talking about is the era of assisted creativity. And we will present two case studies, actually, from two courses we teach in the first cycle study program. The study program is called German Philology, and both courses are optional. The one is German language and mediation, and the other is creative writing. And we collected also feedback from our students. The numbers are quite low, but our groups are also small, relatively small. And in the first optional course, German language and mediation, we had first, second, and third year German philology students. The average level of their German was good, B2, and all of them were at that time very open-minded and active and ready to explore. And actually, we had very particular ideas how this course should look like. And generative AI tools allowed us to design all the tasks and assignments so that they were tailored to suit our ideas and also specific needs of this group of the students. And we used mostly, at that time, it was the academic year 2023-24. We used Copilot, but also ChatGPT, BitLife, 11 Labs, and Animaker. And just a couple of examples about the tasks our students received. For example, they had to prepare an offer, a travel offer, and consider specific needs and preferences of the traveler. And these travelers were, for example, Adam's family, or Siegfried, or Barbie, James Bond, or Darth Vader. Another task was they had to design characters for a soap opera and present this to the other groups. And then we watched also a movie, The Terminator, probably you know it. And then later they had to interview the Terminator. It was a chatbot we created on BitLife. They also created a movie using generative AI tools and created dialogues for silent movies. And we conducted two surveys, one in the middle of the semester and the other at the end of the, already after the course. And interestingly, they found that most of these tasks, they found it appealing, interesting, exciting, and also useful at the same time. Maybe the only one exception was this travel offer for a VIP client. They found it useful, but not that interesting, probably, compared to other tasks. Some remarks from the students' comments. Most said it was fun, and the tasks enabled interaction and communication and collaboration, also creativity. And but at the same time, these tasks fostered problem-solving skills and analytical thinking. The favorite remark of mine is one of the students wrote, "I really had to use my brain." And most of them also found this working with AI, using it, and also discussing AI was interesting. And just one person said that it was weird. Okay, and Diana will talk about creative writing.
Okay, you should see my screen now. Just a moment. So we had also another optional course, creative writing, and that was also with a small group, not a large one, because as Virginia also already mentioned, our groups are not that large, and the German skills of the students were between B1 and B2. They were also open-minded and creative. And what we offered them were tasks that encouraged the use of generative AI. And of course, at the beginning of the course, we had to discuss all the rules, what the students are allowed to do, how to deal with ethical issues, and then there were two groups of tasks, text editing and revision, including real-time collaboration, for example, with all the tools you can see, LLMs, first of all, but not only, NeuroFlash, DeepL-Write, and then generation of images, audio and video files. And just here you see the list of tasks they had to do, and some of them were were done without using generative AIs. Some were with AIs. I would like to mention unusual comparisons, editing text with AI tools and reflection, and then 10 things you must have done once in your life. Just a video according to a list of 10 things students think they must have done once in your life. And then, of course, text to video using AI tools. and other tasks were done without using AI tools, and then we could discuss and compare how it worked. So here we can see the results of the student survey. Of course, there are limitations because the group was small, but they enjoyed writing with music without AI most. But also they found that task was very useful, the most useful. Speaking about AI and using AI tools, from text to video using AI was one of the most useful tasks, and as you can see, then there were several answers that are of the same weight. The same number of students regarded it as the most appealing or the most useful tasks. What we can say about the competences, because there was also a question, what competences have you developed so far attending this course? Of course, all of them were sure that they had developed digital competence working with AI tools and other tasks. They also developed the communication skills, but what was most important for us, most of them developed creativity, or thought they had developed creativity. So it is possible to say that generative AI tools and using generative AI tools can help develop students' creativity and writing skills, of course, and other competences. Now we have some implications for the assessments. What we concluded. All of us have to re-examine the assessment criteria and, for example, put less weight on the final product, like linguistic aspects of the text, just increase the focus on the process, how to work with your text, on your text, and make it better, improve it, so that the final product looks good. And this includes a peer review and assessment, collaborative revision, and of course we have to think about new types of assessments, because it is useful for future life, for future perspective, future career of our students. And yeah, and it is a good opportunity to see generative AI as a useful tool for tailoring teaching and learning materials for specific interest groups, for specific needs of our students. And what is also very important, that the teacher creativity is important, because it is an impulse to students to develop their creativity. So thank you so much for the attention.
Okay, thank you so much for perfect keeping in time. So we can smoothly go to another presentation. I would like to introduce the next speaker. So the next speaker is Connie Meltzer, and she's going to present the topic using AI in research and innovation in education for learning disabilities. Let me just introduce briefly our speaker. So Connie is a professor of inclusive education at the Leipzig University, with a focus on the special needs learning, and she is able to train future special needs teacher in the field of pedagogy and didactics in a special needs learning. Before that, she was a professor at University of Cologne and inclusion. Her research focuses on school diagnostics, teachers training for inclusive education, conditions for successful inclusive teaching, teaching methods for joint learning and learning disabilities, and cooperative support planning and cooperative consulting. So, Connie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you see all the things and hear me? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to present here and for the very good and conclusive introduction. I have a slight cold, so please excuse me any minor interruptions. Unfortunately, I missed using the correct template, so I apologize for that. So I will gladly submit it later. It may be that I won't need the full 10 minutes. We will see. I would just like to give an overview and then go into two aspects in more detail on the breakout rooms. And I will say what the aspects are later. Yeah, using AI in research and innovation. In my 10 minutes presentation, I will outline the initiatives offered at Leipzig University, and in particular at the Institute for Special Education, to support students in developing competencies in academic work with generative artificial intelligence. So these are the three parts I prepared for this webinar. I will start with the first one. So try, okay, good. These are the contents of our tutorials we prepare in the Institute for Special Education. And they are structured to build systematically on one another. The introductory videos can be accessed at any time by all students from the Institute for Special Education and the whole university, I would say, because it's freely to check in there. And they are provided in a Moodle course, special for AI tutorial. The introduction to academic writing, this is the second thing, is intended for first semester students. So when they start studying at Leipzig University, they get an overview about understanding scholarly sources so they can use to understand reports and how it is written and to understand difficult studies, you know. And we want to do an introduction and structuring the work processes with AI. And so you can see how you can work with AI to structure your own study. And we have an introduction for technical translations, for formatting and wording, so they can use AI in a good and right way at the first day of their study. And that's special for our Institute for Special Education. We aim the aspect AI and inclusion, because there are some issues how we can use AI to do more inclusion, but AI is also has the problem that it can be exclusive for students with, for example, learning disabilities. And we also see it at students who don't use it in the right way, and then they don't get the exam because they use it in the wrong way. So the second thing we do is also special for our Institute for Special Education. We have the discipline specific courses, and they are designed for the students in their 4th to 6th semesters. And they are focused on physical abilities and on AI and assistive communication for non-speaking individuals and for AI and plain language. So there are a lot of issues you can use in the field of AI and inclusive education in the field of disabilities. Yes, and the final course prepares students for writing their academic thesis. So we are looking how they can use AI to use it, and in this field I will go in the breakout rooms a little bit deeper for you. So I think that's the way what's most interesting for you. But we also have a second thing at our university of faculty of educations. We have a policy for using AI, especially in the field of academic thesis. So for the PhD students, also the teacher students. And we wrote this policy in this summer, and we had a working group to write this policy. And here, these are the contents of our AI policy of the Faculty of Education. And in addition, we take, in addition to this four paragraphs you see or sections, we take a very strict approach, particularly with regard to compliance with the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. So it's in our field, it's very important, I think. Any violation is in this policy is considered an attempt at deception. So this is for us very important because many of our students will later become teachers and will work with vulnerable pupils. So we have to protect them and we have to save that also in our study with and the academic writing. So yes, so this is the content of our policy. And then I want at the third part tell you something about the academic work with AI, what we are doing in our tutorials. So, and we have in these tutorials especially 4 contents. So and now I will present a small selection of tools we are providing and we are discussing with our students. There are certainly many other contexts in which AI can be used, and this is intended as an initial overview. So in the group session, I will demonstrate, I said it's examples of bibliographic search aimed at identifying real existing sources and for developing a theoretical framework and reviewing the state of the art. I also address relevant aspects of prompt engineering and meta prompting. So this is for the breakout session. What are the areas of application? So working with existing text, summarizing technical translations, also asking questions to PDF documents to understand them. The second one is, I said, the bibliographic search. So using AI-based databases. So creating synopsis for a literature overview to use it in the thesis. And we have a caution. So we want to caution regarding hallucinations because that's a big issue. So at this moment I'm reading exams from my teacher students, and 3 of 10 workings are with hallucinations, and it's not so good. So that's a big problem at this moment at our university. The third one, we have the data analysis in our tutorials. So you can use transcription using local AI tools. So they are GDPR compliant. For example, NoScribe or Whisper. So that's a very good things. Then you can use case summaries for the qualitative research and also code generation and quantitative data analysis, also code generation for the statistic program R. So it's very good to use it in this field. And the last one is writing and revising academic text. So it's spell checking, grammar checking, improving fluency and style. But also it's in the field, it's very important to observing the authorships and the attribution. So to being self an author of your own thesis. So these are the very interesting things. And these are my input. It's not really 10 minutes, but I will show you in the field of the breakout session. We will go into Boolean search strategies and into asking ChatGPT for literature and what's the problem. And for example, I want to show you a very good AI-based tool to make bibliographic search without hallucinations inside. So I'll give you an introduction to this tool. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. And that was perfectly 10 minutes. So we can proceed to the next last presenter of today's session is Andrea Menini, and Andrea is going to solve the abbreviation CAR for us. Just to introduce the speaker, I would like to say that he is an associated professor of accounting at University of Padua. Research interest includes disclosure, IPOs, fair value accounting, and governance of not-for-profit organizations. Teaches financial accounting, intermediate accounting, financial statement analysis, and business planning. He is a committed change agent. So I give the floor to you, Andrea.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all? Yeah, you can see the slide. Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, so thank you for being here on Friday at the end of the semester. So probably everybody are very busy, and thank you for the organizer for the invitation. So as basically all the previous speaker stressed out, critical thinking is one of the key skills that our student must develop in for the future job activities. As an instructor, I focus my activities in the last few years on embedding AI outcomes into my courses in order to help students to enhance their critical thinking skills and capabilities. Just to give you a basic idea, what I try to do is to put them as a referee of AI output rather than using that for generating and creating a report by using as a referee, acting as a referee. The ideal setting was my financial statement analysis course. Because the learning outcomes on this course are analyzing economic performance of real companies, providing financial statements forecast, estimating equity value, and all these things require not only to be able to critically read accounting information and documents, but also embed in their analysis concept and framework from other subjects like strategy or finance. Okay, I did that for my third year student in the Bachelor in Economics and Management. In on top of that, which is not a topic of my talk today, is we were able to use our active learning lab. You can YouTube lab of active learning to see how it works, which is a good environment for students to interact among each others. Okay, so what the goal of my presentation is to use this framework that I name CAR. So compare, abuse, and report, which is 3 subsequent steps. The first is to compare, to put students in a situation where they have to use their knowledge and their experience and their competences to compare AI output like when we read papers from our colleagues in the referee process. The second step is to make more inference so basically to judge, to assess, and to evaluate what is being produced by AI in order to make a decision or to complete the overall task. And last but not least, it was not just a discussion, they have to report. So they have to generate an analysis of what I found good or bad in what was generated by AI. In order to do that, I'm gonna show you three different micro activities or micro tasks that I gave my students. The first one was something that I do the very first day, and it's focused mainly on compare. So I asked students to read an actual financial analyst report, which is on the left on the screen, on an actual company, telling them that, look, this is what you are going to be paid for. So this is what you're going to generate in your job. Okay, they have to read that, and then I asked them to provide me three numbers. The first number is to how many terms are you unfamiliar with? Okay. The second is linked to how easy is or accessible is this document, so how much is difficult. And the last but not least, it a kind of commitment measure with the course. So what difficulty level would you like to be these tests at the end of the course? So after you learn more technical aspect or you acquire more technical competences on the topic. Immediately after, I gave them another document on the same company with a undisclosed source, telling them, look, this is going to have something that is quite similar to what you're going to generate during this course as your team project. And I repeat the same first two questions. And normally students find that a little bit more easier to read. The vocabulary is less technical and is broad concept and very simple concept, not as specific or technical as the first one. And the last question is different from the previous one, is that how long would it take to you today to produce this analysis? On average, they say between 2 and 3 weeks to produce this kind of report. Then I ask them how much do you think that it was required to me to produce this document? And I say 1 or 2 days on average. Then I reveal that it took me 5 seconds because I generated that through ChatGPT. Okay. And in this way, they were able basically to see what it will be paid for in the previous example, and what ChatGPT can generate right now is not sufficient to be paid for. Okay, but it can be a good start. The second activity is more on, and the third one is more on the inference on understanding how these tools work. And before the task, I made them to work on an actual 10K, on an actual company. Among others, they have to do an assignment on that, discussion on that, and so on and so forth. After that, I asked them to listen and comment a summary audio generated by Notebook LM on the 10K. And the results on the activities, I had to comment that. The result was that they appreciate the fact that AI was able to deliver a very clear big picture of the topic, but it was too light on financials. Okay, so they realized that AI is not there yet, and so they need to acquire more specific and technical competences to in their journey. Nevertheless, they really love the conversational level of this tool, and in particular the vivid analogies that AI was able to generate without my personal input. Just for give you an idea, Sirius Satellite Radio is a company in the US for satellite radio service, and this report was on 2004, 2005 fiscal year. AI introduce embed in the comment and analysis a company like Netflix and Spotify. They were even created at that time. They were even there. So that helped the student to better understand what's going on. A similar activities of the last one, the previous one, more focusing on reporting, would ask more questions to answer about. It was to do the same thing, but not with a company, but on a chapter analysis made by Notebook LM using the slide of the book. They have different chapters to analyze. And also in this situation, they love the conversational format, that they keep attention, they were able to anticipate some questions, but it was not sufficient. So they appreciate the fact that AI is not enough for everything. Next step will be using this new tool that they have also on video version for this kind of stuff. Conclusion, basically students are ready for using that, for comparing things, especially when they have prior knowledge of the topic and they know things, and normally they love to critique stuff that are not enough for that level. I am looking forward to embed also these activities on base courses and in the assessment process. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. So we are fastly going to the question and answer session. So be aware, and for the next 20 minutes, choose the appropriate room to talk about the details. Once again, I thank all the presenters for their work. And then we will see each other after 40 minutes.